Hey, Alec, I heard some funny vampire jokes.
Really? What were they?
What do you call a vampire that's on sale?
I don't know. What do you call a vampire?
A discount Dracula.
Oh my god, that's terrible. What other jokes have you heard?
What do you call a vampire's favorite ice cream?
I don't know. What is it?
Vanilla.
Oh no. Got any more?
What happened at the vampire race?
I don't know. What happened?
They finished neck and neck.
Okay, that's it. I'm done.
We're a couple of guys who like to watch movies, cinema nerds who made it our duty to make a show where we break down, discuss, and review. We're the men who watch movies.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Men Who Watch Movies. My name is Alec.
And my name's DJ, the Movie Man Wagner, also known as the COE.
The COE.
Of the Men Who Watch Movies. And with me is the Vice President of the Men Who Watch Movies.
I've been promoted. The Vice. What is it? The Vice?
The Vice President of the COE.
All right. Thank you. And we have another great episode in store for you today.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's all about vampires. And in fact, one particular vampire movie, we watched a movie.
James Woods' Vampires by John Carpenter.
John Carpenter's Vampires as the great thespian.
The great thespian himself, James Woods.
James Woods. I know you've been wanting to watch a James Woods movie for a while now, and I found this one on Netflix.
James Woods.
We haven't seen this before, and it was, I must say, it was pretty crazy. Very.
I found it very awesome,
very good.
and I give it thumbs up.
We'll get into that. We'll get into our review. We'll talk in depth about it and give you guys our thoughts. Definitely a change from last week. That was so family friendly, and this is not family friendly, so do not watch it with the kids on Halloween. We're going to warn you on that one.
Yep.
But before we get into all that, we got some spooky movie news for you. This weekend movie news. Cue that intro. All right, for our first topic in This Week in Movie News, we have some spooky news coming out of the world of Robert Eggers, the director of Lighthouse, which he has a new reboot of Nosferatu coming out. I remember we talked about that before on one of our last episodes, right?
Woohoo!
Now, no, Nosferatu, of course, a classic tale. It was a movie made because they didn't have the rights to Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula, and it was a German silent film, and now they're remaking it for American audiences, and it's going to star Bill Skarsgård of
Wow, that is awesome!
It
Not to
fame.
get too off topic, but Rudy Giuliani looks like Nosferatu!
He does, yes.
And he is
that's pretty on top.
weird, and he's funny!
Anywho.
Used to be a great mayor.
Ew, what?
Used to be a great mayor.
I guess. I don't. Anyway, not like you said, not to get too off topic
Not
here.
to get too off topic.
Not to get too political. Moving on. So back to Nosferatu. Beforehand, it was rumored that because Robert Eggers likes working with Willem Dafoe. Of course, he was in Lighthouse.
Oh yeah.
And it was rumored that Willem Dafoe might play Nosferatu. But I'm glad with this casting because Willem Dafoe already portrayed. I'm sorry, I've been calling him Nosferatu. Count Orlok is the character.
Orlok.
I know a lot of people on the internet are getting mad at me that I've been calling Count Orlok Nosferatu. Anyway, so Bill Skarsgård has been cast as Count Orlok. It was rumored that Willem Dafoe was going to play Count Orlok, but he already played him in Shadow of the Vampire, another great movie. So I'm glad that he's going to be playing some other character. And Anya Taylor-Joy, who also works frequently with Eggers, she was in The Witch. She was originally set to be part of this movie, but she is no longer part of the project because she's currently working on something else. So they actually cast Lily Rose Depp Johnny Depp's daughter, she's going to take her place.
Wow, that is awesome and good casting.
So we'll see. We'll see how this movie turns out. See what he can bring to revitalize Nosferatu.
Who knows?
Who's just essentially Dracula. Definitely hope he brings that creepy. I mean, that'd be cool if it was in black and white, kind of like Lighthouse.
Yeah.
To bring back that creepy vibe. Nothing's creepier than seeing Count Orlok creeping against the staircase with his creepy hot dog fingers and the shadow cast in that dramatic lighting. It's still haunting to this day. So we'll see what he can do with it. It's in good hands. In other movie news, Smile. Yep. Smile did great at the box office. I know you've seen it.
Oh yeah,
did you like it?
It is. Woo!
You sound like
it's like a roller coaster.
You sound like Ric Flair.
Woo!
We got Ric Flair with here.
Talking about that Smile movie. Holy moly, does it pack a punch in a movie?
So you said it was pretty scary, right?
Is it scary? It's scary. High octane volume.
Yeah.
Awesomeness.
You had a lot of coffee today, didn't you?
Allowed.
All right. So it enjoyed a huge take at the box office. A lot of these horror movies, they have pretty small budgets, and it on opening weekend or whatever, it opened with 22 million. So that's great.
Wow.
Unfortunately, there was a new movie out called Bros. It had I don't know if you've seen the trailers for it.
I saw the trailer.
Yeah, it had Billy Eichner. It didn't do so well, unfortunately, and it's a movie about two gay men and the relationship and whatnot, and he says it has probably a lot to do with people not willing to see that because of it, and that's kind of sad. But I really like Billy Eichner. He's funny on Billy on the Streets. I don't know if you've seen that show, but
that was a long time ago, right?
I believe he's still doing it. Yeah, he's still doing. He runs around on the street interviewing people. He's hilarious. Anyway, it's too bad that it didn't do too good. Moving on from movie news. We're still doing movie news, but
yep.
Apparently, Multiverse of Madness writer Michael Waldron is reportedly set to write Avengers: Secret War. So Secret War has its writer. I'm excited for these next steps.
Is that the one with Nick Fury?
I don't know if he's going to be involved in Secret War. Maybe. I know he's going to be in Secret Invasion. So he's definitely part of Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
That's going to be exciting as well. And then we're going to keep movie news brief today because we have a lot to say about John Carpenter's Vampires.
Yep.
Our last bit of movie news, they finally settled the whole debacle with the Alec Baldwin and the movie Rust. He took the life of Helena Hutchins in an accident where the gun had a live round in it. So they settled in court with her husband. He's now actually going to be executive producer of the movie, and they're going to continue on with filming the movie. What is your take on that?
Oh, it's going to be awesome. My heartfelt condolences to the lady director. Very, very sad.
Yes.
I
believe she was the
I heard about it on the
director
news,
of photography.
But I am just surprised about it. But
oh yeah,
when her husband's going to direct it, it's going to be awesome. And I hope Alec Baldwin's doing okay. So hold on there, Alec Baldwin. We're a fan of your movies.
I just hope her husband and the family are able to get past this, and it's a tragic event that someone could fuck up so bad, and it's not just Alec Baldwin, and has a lot to do with everyone else and people responsible and maintaining safety on set and all that. It's everyone had a responsibility in it, and unfortunately it didn't end so well. So it's that shows you how the importance of safety on set, and maybe it's time to make a move. A lot of people involved in making movies are opposed to doing full CGI weaponry and stuff like that. But I think it's time. The technology's gotten good enough. I think it's time to move on to using all prop weapons, no live rounds.
Prop weapons,
it's just a matter of safety.
Rounds.
You are coffeeed up today.
Hey, I don't know.
Bring in the energy, man.
I think it's just my natural energy of the whole cinematic universe of The podcast.
The DJ cinematic universe
Yep.
of coffee.
Everyone. And
All right.
Halloween.
This brings an end to This Week in Movie News, and let's get on with the show. So, John Carpenter, I can't speak again.
John Carpenter's Vampires.
Maybe I need some of your coffee.
James Wood.
Do you understand the words that are coming out from my mouth?
The great thespian himself.
Yes. So, John Carpenter's Vampires. I've seen clips from this movie. I kind of knew what to expect, but I'd never seen the whole movie. And boy, I must say, it was a wild ride. What are your overall thoughts of it? Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it?
It's awesome, and I enjoyed it.
Very gritty, very
and even that other movie called True Believer with James Woods himself.
Oh yeah,
what a performance!
Not to get
what
too
a
off topic here.
powerhouse of a movie.
Yeah. Great actor. And of course, it also co-starred Daniel Baldwin, Alec Baldwin's brother. And it was just very gory, very gritty.
Like a comic book?
Yeah. I guess maybe like a graphic novel, like a Frank Miller or something. I don't know, but it reminded me of like a Robert Rodriguez movie. I mean, it pulled a lot of From Dusk Till Dawn vibes from me.
Oh yeah, and they had that vampire who
I believe that was
the T-1000.
We'll get into that, but it reminded me of a lot from Dusk Till Dawn. It had like that gritty Western type vibe, very kind of grounded approach to vampires. And then I believe From Dusk Till Dawn was before Vampires, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so it was like a couple years before.
Oh yeah, a couple years before.
So I think that was 96, and this one was made in what?
98.
98, yeah, so it was like 2 years before. I feel like they pulled a lot of vibes from it. I don't know if they had anything to do with it, but it's very, very kind of similar tonally, and of course, it has to do with vampires and whatnot. So you have James Woods, the main actor. He plays Jack Crow. He's the head of an elite squad of vampire hunters, and the movie it doesn't hesitate in starting off and showing us what they do and what they're best at. What do you think about that opening scene?
Oh, it was
when they go in and then they raid that house. So basically, we find out later in the movie. It's not really a spoiler too much, but it's like they're contracted essentially by the church to go and kill vampires, and so there's like this elite squad of people, maybe about like seven guys. They pull up in a repurposed ambulance. It was kind of cool. And they have a Jeep with them, and then they go in full gear. They have it almost remind me of motorcycle armor.
Oh yeah, motorcycle armor.
They have like freaking spears. James Woods has like a crossbow. And it has
very Van Helsing of him.
I know. Okay, yeah, right. Yeah, that was before Van Helsing.
Well, he looks like Van Helsing. Those angry eyes. Those eyes, those hypnotic eyes.
But yeah, they're like decked out. They're like freaking elite squad, like a SWAT team.
They're angry, man.
They're going in. They're looking for vampire nests. So they go around, and then it looks like an abandoned building. It's kind of dilapidated, like old, like in a dirt farm kind of area. And then they go in. They break. They don't break down the door, but they actually have like this device that drills a hole around the lock. They breach the house. They get inside and they get attacked by vampires. They're going ham on them. They actually have machine guns too, which it doesn't kill them, but it helps stun them, right?
Oh yeah, very brutal movie, but
it's very like not Rambo, but it reminds me of like like Commando style. They're going and blasting, and anyway, I just started blasting, and they're hitting them with bullets, kind of stun them, and of course they have wooden stakes. Wooden stakes is what kills them, and of course sunlight are the main enemies of the vampire.
It makes the vampires
every vampire movie has its own lore, and this one it's very specific. Garlic doesn't work. Crosses don't work, but sunlight and wooden stakes through the heart, that's the key. So they go in, they start attacking, and then of course they take him out. My favorite thing though is their method of killing him, their main method of killing them besides staking him in the heart. So remember they use that crossbow thing, and it's attached to like a metal wire, right?
Yep.
And then what do they do with it?
Oh, they take James Woods off the cross and
that's at the end of the movie. But remember how they drag him into the sunlight?
Yeah, they drag him through sunlight and they
They freaking explode. So basically what they do is they use that crossbow, and it has a tow cable attached to it that's attached to a winch on the truck. And so they hit them with the crossbow. It gets stuck in their body, and then they freaking use the winch on the truck to pull them out of the house into the sunlight. It's pretty freaking epic, man. And then the pyrotechnics and the effects are great. They freaking burst into flames. It's not just like they start on fire. They're exploding like a firework and shit. It's pretty epic.
Pretty gross, but
so
epic.
That's their method of killing these guys.
Yep.
It's great. You just gotta watch that for yourself.
Very epic. Very awesome.
So they clear the house of vampires. It's pretty great. There's one scene, it was pretty good, where one of the guys gets attacked by a vampire, and he actually stakes him through the head, and it was pretty good effect. You can see they switched from like a prosthetic head. Of course they're not going to stab their actor in the head with a stake, but it looked pretty good, right? Like it was good.
Yep. Very good.
And there's one point where it switches to the real guy, and he has like a stake in his head, and they do some kind of effect where he pulls it out. So they ended up killing all the vampires, but they're James Woods' character Jack Crow, he's disappointed because they can't find the master. So now that's basically like the head of the vampire.
He's angry.
Group. He controls the goons, which is what they call the subordinates. So essentially, he's the boss. The master's the boss, and then the goons are the employees. And they killed 9 of them total. It's kind of funny. They have a priest there with them because they're funded by the church. So he's there blessing the corpses of the burning vampires. It's just kind of funny. So anyway, they have to kind of they leave. They leave because they they finished clearing out that area, minus the master vampire, and they head off to a sleazy motel to kind of finish off their day, kind of party that they had a successful mission, partially successful mission.
Yep.
But as they drive away, we see that the master wasn't far behind. There's a hand that comes out of the dirt.
Yep.
It's very
creepy.
Yeah, it's very zombie-like almost.
Yep.
I guess he buried himself to hide.
I guess it's pretty epic.
Yeah. So as they drive away, we see that the master was there.
Dun dun dun.
Little did they know. And so they go and have a very very crazy party back at the motel. And this is where it gets really R-rated.
Yep.
There's a bunch of prostitutes and booze and they have they work hard and they play hard, I guess. So they're discussing. He's discussing with the priest. About not finding the master, and they need to figure out what's going on. And meanwhile, in the midst of them partying, guess who crashes the party? The master. His name is Valak. And he's there to fuck some shit up. He tears apart their group. Apparently, the master is pretty strong compared to the goons. But according to Crow, this is a particularly strong vampire, right?
Yep. Pretty strong.
He was super. Remember what he did to some of those guys?
Holy moly!
Yeah. Yeah, what did he do?
He put his hand through one of them, and then he just...
Yeah, like he has like super strong claws, like Sabretooth or some shit, and he punches through their chest, and he like rips some of them in half. It's pretty brutal.
Oh, gnarly!
Yeah, and he lays waste to everyone there, and taking out everyone in sight. It's pretty brutal, and at one point, Valak. He says Jack's name. He's like, Jack Crow. And then he's like, Jack's thinking, what the fuck? Does he know my name? Which, we'll find out later. But apparently Jack survived for a reason, and we'll find that out in a bit. But another reason is also because he's the main actor. And also Daniel Baldwin's character survives as well. His name is Anthony. What?
Anthony Montoya.
Anthony Montoya. And so they survive mainly because of the main actors, but also because there's a reason why Jack Crow survives. We'll get into that in a bit. And one of the prostitutes that Jack was talking with earlier, She survives as well, but she was bit. We see a scene before Valak attacks. He's kind of like he's biting her and turning her into a vampire, and so she throughout the movie she's like slowly on the verge of turning. She hasn't turned yet, but they take her with them on their trip, getting out of the motel. Because they have a plan. So basically, they explain later that vampires, when they turn somebody, they have like a telepathic link to them. So they're going to use that. And it goes both ways.
And it's almost like X-Men when a person has a telepathic link.
Kind of. Yeah, it's kind of like
a Professor Xavier stuff.
Yeah, it's almost like that. It reminded me of kind of like that. So not only can, Valak have a telepathic link to, what's her name? Katrina?
Katrina.
She also has. It also goes the other way, where she can see what he's seeing, and it helps them, get to Valak. So they kind of use her as bait, and eventually they figure that he's gonna, find her, and they can, take advantage of that and hopefully kill him. So they begrudgingly take her, as part of their crew. Later on, when the sun rises. Jack Crow goes back. He wants to, finish cleaning up the scene with all his dead comrades. At first, what's his name? Anthony, played by Daniel Baldwin. He wants to go back and help him, but he's like, no, you got to stay with the girl. I'm going to do this alone. Apparently, there's like a set of rules they have as a vampire hunter. I don't know if they go through all the list of rules. It's almost like
it's like a rules.
A movie that came after this that reminds me of that kind of like a zombie. What is it? Zombie Land.
Oh, they have like the whole. They have like a door and then boom.
Yeah, they have like a list of specific rules. This movie has like a list of specific rules as a vampire hunter, and one of them is that you don't bury a team member alone. But he's like, no, I got to do this by myself. You got to watch the girl. He's kind of mad, but he goes back and he I don't know why he does it this way, but he cuts off all the heads of his team members, puts them in a bag, and then he buries the heads separate from the bodies, and then he leaves the prostitutes in the motel, burns the whole thing down. He does like the epic like Hollywood walk away.
Yep,
that's pretty
very epic.
Yeah.
Very Hollywood walk away.
He looks so badass. And I love his outfit too. He has like that leather jacket.
Yep.
The sunglasses. He's like it's like a brown leather jacket, black leather gloves, sunglasses.
It's an awesome movie.
He's killing it in the fashion department.
Recommend it. I highly recommend it. And true believer.
Yeah, well, let me watch that one after Halloween. I just kind of want to do some spooky, Halloween movies. Anyway, so apparently, before all this shit went down, the priest that was with them, when they were busting heads back at the at that crazy like dilapidated house, he was with them at the motel, and he got killed. He was one of the people that got killed. The whole team got killed except for, except for Anthony and Jack. And he had mentioned earlier at the party that he was going to have a meeting with the Cardinal Alba, and so he eventually has that meeting, and then he's also he meets with what's his name? It's like
he's like a young priest.
Like Father Adam.
Adam.
Yeah, he's a younger guy, kind of hip. More of a hip kind of priest.
Young.
So he meets with them, and he gets some more exposition about how there was another team, like a European team, that also got slaughtered by Valak, and basically now it's up to Jack to kind of deal with things, because he's like the only person alive that can handle Valak and maybe survive against him. And so at first he wants to kind of go it alone, but the Cardinal Alba makes him take Father Adam with him. Begrudgingly, he has to take him with him, or otherwise he's going to shut down the whole operation. And this is like a personal vendetta now, right? Because Jack wants to kill Valak because he slaughtered his men. He built relationships with these guys. They're like his buddies, and they're all gonzos. So now he has more of a vendetta than he ever had before, which later on we find out he has some personal kind of connection to vampires. So he goes. He's driving with Father Adam, and at some point he throws him out of the ambulance, and then he starts interrogating him because he wants to know who who was responsible for tipping off, Valak, because Valak said his name, and he's like, he even points a gun at Father Adam. He's like, who, do you know, if you know something, you better, he's basically, saying that if he's going to kill him if he doesn't divulge in any information, but he didn't really know much. He didn't know why, Valak knew his name, like that. So he's like, okay, he lets him live. And he takes him with him on his trip. He says something weird. He's like, oh, did it give you wood when I had my gun pointed at you or something like that? There's a callback to that later on in the movie. He's like,
yep,
it's just a weird thing. And it's
really weird.
Anywho, moving on. Anyway, back with Anthony Montoya. He ties he ties Katrina to the bed. And, he had cleaned her up and he lets her know about the whole situation, that she's been bit. She's probably going to turn into a vampire. And, he lets her know of the plan that, right now we're going to use you to get to Valak so we can get some justice. So he kind of sets the precedent for her. So that way she's in the know. At first, she has tape on her mouth, he takes it off. She screams, of course, she's being held hostage, but he lets her know that, we're doing this so we can get to the monster that killed, everybody. And, she's kind of reluctant, but she kind of goes along with it. There's some point where she even tries to escape out the window, right?
Yep.
Because she's kind of understanding, but she wants to leave. She's being held in this hotel, and she's going to go, change back into her clothes, and what's his name, Anthony, is like, oh, leave the door open a crack, I want to keep an eye on you. But then he freaking falls asleep for a second, and then she goes out the window onto the ledge, and
he gets cut by some glass, and all of a sudden
so he goes back, he goes back to grab her, and he freaking pulls her through the window, and the window explodes and stuff. The window shatters.
Skin that's nasty.
And then he, I guess because she's starting to get that kind of vampire mindset, she bites him in the arm, and he ends up knocking her unconscious, because I guess it was kind of a gut reaction. And then he uses a lighter or something to cauterize the wound, which I felt like, I don't know, maybe that's a way to, stop. I don't know why he chooses to do that. He could have just used a tourniquet or something. I don't know. Maybe to make him seem more badass or something, right?
Yep. What an actor. Yeah. What a thespian. Great Baldwin himself.
Oh, yeah. There's going back to that scene where Father Adam was with, what's his name? Crow. He at that point, after he interrogated him and stuff like that, and he didn't give him any information, he shows him a map of all the vampire encounters from the 1800s. And the way he reads the map, it seems like they're on the hunt for something. I don't know how he can tell that from dots on a map, but he said it looks like they're in a hunting pattern, searching for something. And he thinks, because he heard since he was a child about the legend of a black cross, and he thinks that maybe the vampires are searching for the black cross, and that's a little bit of a kind of lead that he's going off of to while he's hunting for vampires and whatnot. So that's just a little bit of a hint for what's to come in the climax of the film. Something I forgot to mention. So anyway, Jack eventually meets with both of them back at the hotel, Anthony and Katrina, and he notices the bite on his arm, and he hides it from him. What do you think about that? It's kind of irresponsible.
Irresponsible and gross.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It reminded me of those zombie movies where there's that guy who always gets bit and he tries to hide it from the group because they know if they find out they're gonna kill him, and so he hides it until he turns, and then they have to fight him off. And it was kind of like that kind of situation. So he's trying no, I got cut by the glass when I had to pull what's her face through the window and whatnot. Eventually, though, she does slowly start to turn, and it's not an instantaneous thing. It's gradual. So then she starts seeing visions, which helps him out, right? Because she starts seeing visions of Valak attacking a church, and and she's kind of getting visions of signs, like helping him find where Valak is at. And then there's one point where she sees Valak killing a priest. Remember? And then she like screams.
Yep.
That's
She screams.
That was kind of cool, right? When she's getting like the visions.
Yep, she's getting the visions like
their own
in X-Men.
It's like their own personal vampire LoJack. It works, Yeah, you're right. It doesn't remind me of X-Men. Like it's like she's using Cerebro to find where the other mutants are.
We should tell them the truth.
I know. That was good. I like your impressions.
We should tell them the truth.
Yeah. Anyway, so they see a sign that says San Miguel, and so Father Adam goes calling around to see if there's any churches in that area that are missing priests, and eventually they find a church where the priest was from that Katrina saw in her vision, and just before the scene where they head to the church, Anthony is looking like super tired, and then that's when Jack gets like really suspicious. He's like, "You're looking tired, man. What's wrong?" He's like, "Nothing, man. I'm just exhausted." So it's a little setup for some things to come, some revelations. Anyway, Jack goes to the church. He kind of poses as an investigator sent by the church to like investigate like hate crimes or something like that, right?
Yep.
But he's really there to find out where the heck that priest is, so he can find Valak.
Yep. And he's angry.
Yeah. And then they find out that the priest that was killed in Katrina's vision, his name is Father Molina, and he has his head cut off, and you see it, and it's kind of gross. They did a really good job with these effects. You see like part of it's not even at the neck. It's like right here, like it's like maybe from like the chin up or something like that. So it's like a weirdly cut off. I don't know. I guess he uses fingernails. He needs to go to he needs to get a manicure, man. Those nails are crazy.
Disgusting.
Yeah. Eventually, Katrina ends up having another vision where she sees Valak emerge from the dirt again with a new army. So he has a new army of vampires with him. And Katrina mentions that there are 7 more. And then they seem very powerful. And then Anthony's like, "Are they masters?" And she said, "Yes." So there's like 7 masters going around now. It's crazy. So later on, Jack Crow wants to get more information, so he interrogates poor Father Adam again. This time he like really brutalizes him. Like he takes him into like the bathroom or something, right? And he gets like a towel, like a washcloth, and then like he's like holding a knife to him or something, and he's like, "Open your mouth," and he shoves it in his mouth, and he cuts his hand, threatening him and stuff like that. And then he I guess he did it so when he bites down, he doesn't break his teeth. So like they would put something in someone's mouth, and he cut his hand. And he's letting him know that he's not afraid of killing him for information, because he talked about how because Father Adam's like, "You're not going to kill me. I'm a priest." He's like, "Oh really? You think I won't kill you?" He's like, then he goes into the backstory about his family, right?
Yep. Pretty epic.
Yeah, so we find out that his mom was killed by his dad. His dad turned into a vampire, and he makes a kind of like a little reference to keeping secrets, because he's like, "Don't keep secrets from me, Father. Secrets get people killed." Because he's like, "My dad kept a secret that he got bit by a vampire, and then in 5 days he turned into a vampire and he killed my mom. Tried to kill me, but I killed him." He's like, "So if I killed my own father, don't hesitate to think that I won't kill you." So he's like, "Cough up whatever information you know." So eventually, Father Adam, he says that they're looking for a cross. It's called the Ancient Cross of Béziers, and apparently Valak was created as a result of a reverse exorcism, and it's something I never heard of before. I don't know if it's based off of real mythology or whatever, but apparently it's where, and you know how in exorcism you're trying to exorcise a spirit from a living person. In this one, they're trying to kill the body but leave the spirit alive for some reason. I have no idea why you would want to do that, but apparently it ended up just when his body died, the spirit remained, and somehow that formulated a vampire because they ended up burying the body, and then when they reopened the casket, his body was gone, and then there was reports of him, walking around drinking the blood of people, and apparently this ritual created vampires, and so he's saying that Valak was searching for this cross for some reason, which we'll find out later, and it could cause danger to the world. So that's all he pretty much knows. He knows that they're looking for the black cross that helped create Valak.
Yep, and they're going to destroy it.
So anyway,
Valak.
So Valak, later on we see he attacks a church. So he's honing in on this black cross, and he finds it's like a Spanish monastery. He finds and he attacks it because over the years the black cross that I guess changed hands or something like that, and it ended up at this church. He attacks them. He kills everybody there, and he finds the black cross. But sunrise kind of puts a pause on his plans, and eventually Katrina leads them to the location of that church. And they go to the church, and it's crazy. It's like there's dead monks everywhere, and I don't know I don't know why, but I guess maybe it's probably a recycling fountain that recycles the water. I guess blood got into the fountain, and the fountain's like pumping out blood. It's kind of creepy looking. What'd you think of that? It was kind of weird.
It was weird.
Yeah, it was
but awesome.
Brutal vampires, man.
Brutal.
They're not fucking around. Anyway, Anthony picks a fight with Jack over the way he's treating Katrina, because there's some point where he ends up being rough with her. I forget for what reason, and so they start bickering between each other and fodder. Oh boy, I can't speak again.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Father Adam stops them and says, "Look, we need to stop dicking around because." The reason why, I don't know why he didn't tell them this earlier, but the reason why Valak is looking for that cross is because he's trying to complete the exorcism, because of the reverse exorcism. Because apparently the exorcism hadn't been completed, and if it gets completed, his power will be complete. And not only will he be able to be undead, a vampire in the night, he'll be able to daywalk. He'll be able to walk around regardless of the sunlight. And at that point, he's so powerful, he's going to be unstoppable. So this is no, laughing matter. We need to get to that cross. And we need to get to that now. So he's like, stop dicking around. Essentially, he didn't say it. No, that's not an exact quote, but that's the kind of feel right that he's going for. So they got to look for that cross, huh?
Yep.
Oh yeah. So they continued to use Katrina as like some kind of honing rod. To look for Valak. She leads him to a little small town called Santiago and says that Valak is nearby, and she's kind of sensing him, and then they eventually get led to this abandoned prison, which is perfect because it's like a fortified building. It's like the strongest building in town, and the town is a ghost town at this point, and they figured that he probably turned it has like a small population.
Like a ghost town.
I love that song. But yeah, they figure that he turned all the people in the town, because it's like a super small town, population in like the hundreds, and they figure that he turned all the citizens into goons, the subordinate vampires. So they get ready to fight. So they got to lock and load. All it is pretty much Jack. What's his face? Anthony, and then of course Father Adam. They gear him up. They prep him with some weapons and stuff like that. You're one of us now, man. You gotta get ready to fight. So they breach the jail, and so it's Anthony and Father Adam enter the prison, all geared up, and Jack as well. And then they get jumped by two vampires. There's one like behind like this little cage. She gets free eventually, and they ended up staking her, dragging her out. I love that with that wench. I love it. That winch, not a wench. And then the other one kind of overpowers them at first. What's his name? Jack. He uses the thing like the crossbow, and he gets a toe on her, but he isn't able to hook it up to the winch. So he wraps it around a beam that's in the church, right? And he like starts yanking on it, holding her back, and then he has Father Adam stake her in the heart. Pretty badass, man.
Yep. Pretty badass. Awesome Halloween movie.
And then, so they basically have this plan. They know this building is filled with vampires. So basically, their plan is to, utilize the elevator. So I forget if they're going up or down a floor. But they're going down to where the vampires are. And then their plan is to have someone in the elevator acting as bait. And they're going to lure the vampire into the elevator, take him up to the main floor where the entrance is. They're going to harpoon them and then drag him out with that tow cable. And it seems like a bit of a long-winded plan. But that's what they're going with. And then eventually Father Adam decides to volunteer himself in tribute. He's going to be the bait.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I don't know how to drive. And I can't drive the truck. To pull out the winch, with the winch on it, to pull out the vampires, and he trusts Jack, with trying to hook him up and everything like that. So he's going to be the bait, and then it works. The first time they try it, it works. They end up dragging out one of the vampires. They burn up into shreds, and meanwhile Katrina is over there, like she's on the verge of turning into a vampire herself, and she kind of like winces every time she sees a vampire get dragged out and burst into flames. I don't know if it's because she's turning into one herself, and she's worried about it. Excuse the noises. There's some construction going on. We're building a bigger set. No, just joking. Anyway,
don't worry, guys.
Yeah. Anyway, so she gets dragged out and burns up, and Katrina's like, "Oh my god!" And she didn't say that, but you could see the look on her face. She looks grossed out. Anywho, they try it again. They're gonna have to do it again, but unfortunately, one of the head vampires catches on to what they're doing, and she bursts through the doors and starts attacking them. It's crazy. So I think I'm pretty sure she's one of the ones that we saw rise from the ground with Valak, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So
that Valak.
yeah. So I believe it's one of the masters. She bursts through the elevator door. They try dragging her out, but the wire breaks, so they hook her back up and drag her out again. And then Jack, meanwhile, like in the process of hooking her up, Jack is like on top of her. And then Father Adam's like worried because like he knows she's going to burst into flames, and he's going to get caught up in the fire show.
Like the hero.
So meanwhile, Jack is on top of her, and like he's like shooting her in the face and like staking her in the chest while she's being dragged out. You can tell there's a lot of passion behind his vampire killing.
Yep.
So anyway, he rolls off just in time before she bursts into flames, and he doesn't get hurt. Apparently, vampires are like super combustible. Anyway,
apparently
they run out of time to kill any more vamps because nightfall has come, and they pretty much figure that they can't. Apparently, like it's another rule that they can't kill a master at night. So they kind of accept that they're kind of screwed, and everything's kind of out of their favor now. Katrina's turning full vampire, and then they kind of in a position where they're going to be attacked unrestrictedly by the whole Valak and his crew because there's no sun anymore. So Valak and his crew emerge and they start to attack Jack and his pals. And Katrina turns and bites Anthony's neck because Anthony at this point he's like driving away. I don't know if he's just like running off because he's scared or whatnot. He starts driving in the Jeep away with Katrina, right? And she like bites him. She takes a big chunk out of his neck.
Oh yeah, it's just nasty and gross.
Ouch. Yeah, and so he's like bleeding profusely, and again. He just lives.
He gets a napkin.
Well, no, he gets something better than a napkin. He gets a machine gun, and he blasts it in the air. I guess so. In theory, the gun is going to heat up from the bullets firing, and then he presses it against his neck to cauterize the wound. He's just like a glutton for punishment, man. He loves burning his wounds. I suppose in an emergency, you got to improvise, man.
Yep.
So he's not looking too good right now. Yeah, and then the vampires eventually they overpower Jack, and at this point I'm like, why haven't they killed Jack yet? That's crazy. But there's a reason. They have their reasons. Vampires may be monsters, but they're not lacking of logic. And then there's a reason why they're keeping Jack around, and it's because
he's the hero of the movie.
Well, that's the number one real reason. But in the logic of the movie, it's because they need his blood. Because apparently, in order to successfully complete the reverse exorcism, they need the blood of a vampire hunter or something like that, right? I forget what they call him. They call him a slayer. Is that what they call him?
They call them the Slayers.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, the blood of a crusader. They call them crusaders.
Blood of a crusader.
So they need Jack for his blood because they need a blood of a crusader to reenact the original ritual. So luckily, Adam is kind of lurking in the back of the ambulance, and he sees a shotgun hidden underneath like one of like the tables where they normally would keep like the medical equipment. And so he grabs a shotgun. He's quick thinking, okay, let me backtrack a little bit because I'm missing a crucial spoiler. So if you want to see this movie, I know I've kind of divulged a lot of the information, but this is a critical spoiler alert. So just so you know, I'm going to reveal the big Shyamalan twist in this movie because there's a Shyamalan-sized twist in it. So if you don't want to know, you can go ahead and shut this off or
just keep on.
A lot of you probably shut this off at the very beginning, but anyway, whoever stuck around with us, here's our Shyamalan twist, and we're going to reveal it now. So apparently, the one behind it, the one that tipped off Valak to Jack Crow, is the one and only Cardinal Alba. He's the bitch. He's the asshole. So Cardinal Alba shows up, and it turns out that because he's an old fucker, and he realizes that he's not going to live forever, and he wants to have Valak turn him into a vampire because he wants to stave off death. The little fucker. Anyway, anyway, so he's the one that's been tipping off Valak about Jack Crow. That's his name, right?
Yep.
I've been saying it wrong this whole time. Okay, it just sounds weird.
Jack
Anyway, so he's the fucking asshole. But the quick thinking of Father Adam, he grabs the shotgun and he blasts Cardinal Alba in the chest, and he kills him. And now he's like, "You're fucked," because now you need a priest to do the exorcism ritual. And then Valak, in desperation, he threatens to burn, because at this point they have Jack Crow tied to a cross, because I guess they had him tied there when they did the bloodletting to get the blood from him. And so he threatens to burn Jack Crow on the cross if Father Adam doesn't continue the ritual, because he's the only one else who could do it. He's a priest. And so Father Adam puts the shotgun to his head. He's like, "I ain't gonna do shit." And he kind of hesitates once he sees that Valak has the flames kind of put to the cross where Jack Crow is. But then luckily Anthony turns around in the Jeep. He's not dead yet. He's still holding on for dear life, and then he drives, and he ends up using the tow cables. So he gets like the crossbow, and he harpoons the cross in an epic feat of saviorness.
He saved James Woods.
Yeah, he pulls him down. He pulls the cross down and drags it behind him. I felt like he would have gotten a concussion if this were real life. He pulls that thing down pretty hard. There's clearly a dummy attached to that cross. He would have gotten whiplash or concussion or something. But he saves James Woods.
Yep, he saved James Woods.
He saves James Woods from that certain death.
Yeah.
He drags him to safety, and then at this point, because apparently they have to do the ritual on the brink of sunrise, and because they're delaying the process so much, the sun begins to rise, and the vampires are fucked because they're gonna burn. They haven't finished the ritual, and now they're gonna burn because they're still vulnerable to sunlight. So it sends them scattering. The sun starts to rise. They run inside, and eventually, Valak, he's on the verge of bursting into flames. He makes it inside, but then
James Woods is so angry that he is the hero.
What does he do? What does he grab?
The cross.
He grabs the black cross and he chases Valak inside with it. He actually stakes him with it, but he's so strong that it didn't kill him. So he's able to actually freaking Valak.
The light just
Oh yeah. But before that, he grabs what's his name? Valak is so strong, he actually grabs the cross that's stuck in his chest, and he actually slings it around with what's still stuck to his chest, and he hits James Woods' character, Jack. He knocks him down, and then he's about to, live another day. But then that's when he sees, apparently, the building they're in is kind of dilapidated, and he sees like this beam holding up the roof, and he kicks it, and then he knocks he sees, because there's like light glimmering through the slats in the roof. I don't know if it was under repair or something, but he kicks the beam holding up the roof, and the roof caves in, splashes him with sunlight, and Valak just dies in a burst of flames.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy. And they save the day. I mean, there's still more vampires and whatnot.
Save the day. They save
but
the day.
Eventually Jack saves the day. He killed the Valak, the original vampire in this lore. And they don't have the risk of a day walking super vampire anymore.
Yep.
And he kind of got vengeance for what happened to his mom and whatnot. So it all ties back to his childhood and everything like that. But yeah,
awesome movie. I give it a high rental. For those who want to see it, I give it a high rental.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then later on, we get back to Anthony. That's when Jack eventually finds out that he was bitten. And, he knows he's going to turn into a vampire. At first, the father, Adam, wants to shoot him. Because there's a rule that if you find out that your partner has been bit, you got to kill him before he turns. But he decides to let him go, I guess, out of sympathy. And I guess he's kind of fallen in love with Katrina, so they're going to ride off into the sunset together. So he lets him for some reason, but he gives him this warning. He's like, just so you know, I will look for you. I will find you, and I will kill you. Very, very Liam Neeson.
Very Liam Neeson, very Taken.
I mean, he does have a particular set of skills.
And he does.
Oh boy, does he. He's an A+ vampire hunter.
A+ vampire hunting looks like Van Helsing himself.
He makes Van Helsing look like a wuss. Let's just say that. Anywho, overall, I liked it. It was definitely a stark contrast. Definitely a stark contrast from the Munsters.
Yep.
Totally
better
different.
than the Munsters.
Yeah. WowE was
way better.
I mean, they're not even the same ballpark. I mean, this Munsters is obviously aimed towards families and whatnot, and then this one was definitely just full on gritty. Like you said, it reminded me of
Frank Miller.
Well, it reminded me of Robert Rodriguez kind of thing going on.
Robert Rodriguez.
It had a lot of those the sun drenched. It had a lot of those sun drenched landscapes and gritty, and it had that awesome Western twangy guitar music, rock, Western rock and stuff like that. Golden sunsets and dirt roads, and it's just one of those. Yeah, it had that vibe to it. Overall, out of 10, I would say I would rate it a 7.5. It was pretty good.
I give it a 10 out of 10.
You have a very sensitive scale here. So if you liked it mildly, 10 out of 10. Hey, but you love stuff with a passion.
Yep.
And you can't go wrong with that. Definitely liked it though. Maybe even an 8 out of 10. I don't know. It was pretty good. Pretty damn good.
It was pretty damn good. Pretty good. Pretty good.
But yeah, it was. I would definitely recommend it. Not for kids. Definitely rated R. They pushed the R rating. Very gory. Has some nudity scenes in it. So just warning. If you're gonna watch it, make sure no kids are around. But definitely a solid movie. I never heard. I don't hear too many people talking about it. And then general public. So,
if you do see it,
I heard it mentioned people who
give us your opinion,
who like watching movies and stuff like that, talking about movies, but you don't really hear it mentioned in the general sense anymore. But yeah, I mean, usually when people talk about gory Halloween type movies or stuff like that, it's usually the typical slasher flicks and whatnot. But definitely give this one a watch if you love vampires. Definitely adds something to the conversation. Yeah. Anything else you want to say before we wrap this up?
Oh, it's an awesome movie. I give it a thumbs up and a high rental. a high matinee, and I highly recommend it. And of course, watch True Believer.
Another
Very
James Woods
awesome.
movie. You just love James Woods' work.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
He
yeah,
has those
he's great in this.
eyes.
Yeah.
Very angry.
Maybe when
good.
the Halloween season's over, we'll take a look at some of his other repertoire.
Yep, the legendary James Woods himself. And he's still going strong.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, we had fun with this episode.
Yep.
Tune in next week. Next Saturday, we'll have another Halloween-esque,
Special podcast.
spooky type movie for you.
A very special one.
We're still deciding. I know definitely there's a few movies that we love watching during Halloween. We might go back to something a little less gory. I know one of the movies I've been wanting to watch was Ernest Scared Stupid. Maybe we can take a look at that eventually. And so there's a lot of other movies I love watching during Halloween time.
Oh, yeah. Halloween
If you have
is
any
that time
opinions,
of day where people dress up in costumes as ghosts, goblins, or whatever.
Oh yeah.
In general.
And then eventually we'll have our, as we get closer to Halloween, we'll have our Halloween special for you, and we could do like a little bit of a, multi-movie review for some of our favorite
watching,
spooky
folks.
films. We'll even be dressed up in our costumes.
Yep, I will be dressed up as Dark Helmet from Spaceballs.
The spoilers for the show. So tune in just for that. That's going to be epic. I've been working on that costume, so
it's
we'll debut
pretty
it.
awesome.
We'll debut it for
awesome.
our Halloween spectacular. So just make sure to check us out. Not only is this podcast available on YouTube, it's available on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google
And check
Podcasts.
out my podcast also.
Oh yeah, what's the name of that?
Movie Man Behind the Scenes.
Awesome. Yeah, check that out. It's on YouTube, right?
Yep, it's on
And then-
YouTube.
Awesome. And then of course
1
we have
million subscribers, folks.
Hey, we're trying.
Yep.
And then of course we have a Twitter at Men Watch Movies, and then we're also on Instagram at Men Watching Movies, I believe it is. And then you can find us on Facebook too. We have a Facebook page.
Yep.
But yeah, that's it for this episode.
It is it for this episode today, but we will bring you more special podcast episodes, so keep on watching, folks.
My name is Alec.
And my name's DJ the Movie Man Wagner, also known as the COE of the Men Who Watch Movies Incorporated. And we remind you to keep on watching.
watching.
Goodbye, folks.